Hey everybody, this is Dave Frericks, Technology Evangelist at Qlik. Today we're going to discuss the integration between Qlik and the Presto engine. So let's dive in a little bit before we get into the demo and understand a little bit of the history with Qlik and Presto. So Qlik was the first BI vendor to integrate with Presto. Qlik was the first BI vendor to certify with Presto. Qlik was the first BI vendor to demo Presto at the Teradata Partners Conference back in 2015. And today we're using the Teradata distro of Presto to actually conduct the presentation to do the visual analytics of big data systems. So what exactly is Presto? Now that we've kind of talked about how Qlik integrates with it, well, Presto is a very unique federation engine for big data and other systems. Connecting to it via ODBC, it allows us to connect to Presto, and Presto then to connect to various other systems. Could be Apache Hive, could be other systems like Mongo or Cassandra, MySQL, Raw HDFS, or many, many other ODBC compliant systems. So Presto is kind of cool because it's a federation engine, not only for big data, but big data and other systems. So what exactly are we going to be looking at here when we're showing this demo? Well, today we're going to be looking at how Qlik directly connects to the Presto engine, which will go and run those federated queries against the multiple source systems that we're using today inside of the demo. So direct discovery or live query is a method that Qlik has in its engine along with our in-memory capabilities. So we can actually mix mode if we want to, which we've done in this demo, with some information in memory and other information going live as we request it through the Presto engine. Let's go ahead and get into the demo now and take a look at Qlik in action on Presto.
So let's go ahead and take a look at Qlik running on Presto. Today we're going to take a look at Presto using the TPCH schema and Hive data that comes with the Teradata 148T VM that you can download off the website. We're going to go ahead and start by opening up our starting page, our dashboard that's running live against Presto. As you can see, this response and the speed is very quick working with this system. So let's explain a little bit about what we're working at. As mentioned, we're using the TPCH schema. This is a schema that auto-generates based on a scaling factor dynamically using an algorithm in TPCH. It's a great, This schema uses the TPCH dataset, which is dynamically generated inside of Presto using an algorithm built into the technology. This algorithm uses a scaling factor to determine how much data we want to use. And in our case, we're using a combination of that algorithm plus data that's been stored inside of Hive, as Presto, again, is a federator of various and multiple data sources. So let's talk about what we're going to see here inside the dashboard. This dashboard is a representative of just standard kind of sales and orders data, as that's what makes up the TPCH schema. So what we're going to look at here is how we can interact with this information. So to go ahead and take a look at it, what we want to do is generally notate what we're looking at on the main screen. We've got some summation information of total revenue, quantity sold, unique customers. We've got some graphs and charts showing us some information. And a lot of this information is at a high level. For example, I can see information broken up all the way to a year level. But the cool thing about Qlik is that this is a continuous axis timeline. So I can actually dive down into individual transactional elements just by rolling over my mouse key or on a mobile device using the pinch command. So that's kind of cool. It lets me get in and interact with this information and break apart my time. Now, what we can also do with this is start making selections. So maybe if I want to look in and I want to look for a specific month set, so I want to look between July and October here, I can just make that selection and Presto will go and process this in its native state. And I can now see the fact that I've made some choices. Another great thing about the Qlik technology is that we're fully responsive. Right now, we're looking at a relatively large format. But I can very easily reduce this and notice how it will automatically scale and adapt. Qlik is a fully responsive system, all the way down to even if I take it into a mobile device format, where it will take my information and break it out for me in a lateral view Or if I want to take it into a portrait view, it will stack it that way as well. So Qlik will work with you. There's no need to build different tools and have different versions based on which mobile version or phone that you have. It's build once, consume anywhere type of technology. Now let's go ahead and actually start kind of try and find some information inside of the data. So what we're going to go do here is we're going to start to go do some analysis. So the first way I can do analysis, as I just saw with time, I can make selections. Maybe I just want to look at stuff in North America. Well, I'll go make those selections. And what I will see now that I chose North America is all of my data pivot around that. What I can see is some information around the associations in that. I can see that since I chose those two countries, only America is valid. I can come over here and see how that data impacts all of my data set. What are my ISO codes? What orders and what part numbers were chosen and which ones were not chosen? So I have the ability to not only see the data on my screen, but all the data that's stored inside of this TPCH schema. And that's really important because with Qlik, we don't want to leave any data behind. We don't want to have to force the user to have a whole bunch of drop downs and buttons on a screen. We want you to be able to explore the data as you think about it. Okay. So let's go in here and look at a different way of interacting with data. Let's say I'm not exactly sure what I'm looking for, but I'm looking for a specific part. And that part is part 1994. So when I type in 1994, what it will tell me is that it will give me some predictive text based on what are things containing 1994 in the data set. It will show me all the charts that contain 1994 within that, and it will also show me all the dimensional elements and measure elements that contain 1994. Well, 1994 is a year, it's an order key, it's a line item order key, it's also an order date, a whole bunch more, but specifically I'm looking for the part key 1994. So I'll go ahead and make that selection. And when I make that selection, what I'll see is my entire application will now pivot around that part key. The revenue for the part, how many sold, how many unique customers, where that information was sold, and my map will update, and I can also see those sales trends over time. Well, this is a high-level dashboard. What I'm going to do is move over now to my lower-level dashboard and actually see the details of this information. I can now see the orders of this part by delivery priority, how much revenue by that delivery priority, how orders at, again, that higher level view based on my year, revenue versus target of that part, on-time delivery of that part. And now I can actually get down into a pivot table where I analyze at a granular level what's happening. I see a whole list of customers here. And let's go ahead and take a look at this customer down here that has a high level of revenue associated with this part. Well, I'm going to unpack that, and what it will show me then is the specific order number, the date that part was ordered, and there is that part number exclusively. Down here, what you actually see is the Presto engine running, and this is the admin console. So as I make selections and interact with it, you can see that Presto is live firing off my questions to go and federate, get that data from the different places in which that it lives. Well, I'm interested in focusing on this customer, so I'm going to go ahead and make a selection. You'll see the query executing, and now we'll see some specifics around that customer and that order. And this tells me some pretty interesting information. But I want to know more about this customer, not just for this part, but the customer in general. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect that specific part number and now look at my overall customer picture for that particular customer. That customer being the 000 bunch of zeros 425. And now I can see revenue, I can see order dates, I can see all the part numbers. Let me switch that around. Here's all the part numbers that we've ordered. And I can take a look at all that information. Now, what I want to do here is I want to stop doing detail analysis, and I'll pivot back to my main screen. And what I see now is, well, that customer is based in Mozambique. I can see their order history over time. I can see that how many their average sales per day is, quantity sold, and again, that overall total sales revenue. So with a few clicks, I can use that Presto engine to go do high-level dashboard analysis all the way down to individual part-level transaction analysis of my data. I don't have to have different reports. I don't have to have different systems. It just allows me to go anywhere that I want to within this data set.